everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Alexa. Today we're making strawberry shortcake trifles. I measured out all my ingredients and I recommend that you do so too. You can find a full list of ingredients and measurements in the link in the description. Remember to watch the video first so you can be prepared. First, I'm going to sift my flour, cornstarch, baking powder, and baking soda. This is to make sure there are no clumps. If you don't have a sifter, you can use a wire whisk or a fork. When you're sifting, you can push the ingredients through using a rubber spatula or a spoon, or you can tap the sides of it with your hands. If your sifter has a stand, you should tap the sides of your sifter after it looks like all the ingredients have fallen through to make sure no ingredients are stuck. Today I'm not using a sifter with a stand, so I don't need to do this step. Next, I'm going to combine my butter and sugar in the bowl of my stand mixer. I'm going to mix this until they are fully combined and light in color. looks well mixed, but I'm going to scrape down my bowl to make sure there aren't any non-mixed ingredients on the bottom of it. It looks great, so now let's add in one of the eggs. It doesn't need to be exact. For me, I just do one yolk and however much white comes out with it. I'm going to mix this until it's mostly combined. It doesn't need to be fully combined because we will be mixing it a lot after and we don't want to overmix it. Then I'm going to add in the second egg and mix it just like the first one. Now I'm going to add in the next egg and mix it into my batter. Next, I'm going to add in the final egg and mix it until it's fully combined. I'm going to scrape down my bowl to make sure the ingredients are mixing well. Don't forget to scrape down the beater and the bottom of the bowl as well. I'm going to mix this a little longer to combine the ingredients that aren't mixed in. Next, I'm going to add in the vanilla extract. I'm going to mix this until it isn't visibly separated from my batter. I'm going to scrape down my bowl a little bit to make sure everything's mixing well. Now I'm going to add in about a third of my sifted dry ingredient mixture from before. It doesn't need to be exact. I'm going to mix until it's mostly combined. Some dry ingredients are sticking to the sides of my bowl, so I'm going to scrape them off of there with my rubber spatula. Then I'm going to add in about half of the yogurt. Some of the yogurt is sticking to the sides of my bowl, so I'm going to scrape it off of there like before. Then I'm going to add in about half of the remaining sifted dry ingredient mixture. Dry ingredients are once again sticking to the sides of my bowl, so I'm going to scrape them off of there again. in the rest of the yogurt. I'm going to scrape down my bowl again because I can see that some yogurt isn't mixed in and is stuck to it. Now I'm going to add in the rest of my sifted dry ingredient mixture. I'm going to mix this until everything's fully combined. Some of my dry ingredients are sticking to my bowl again, so I'm going to scrape it down so they will mix in better. My batter looks great, so let's move on to the next step. Next, I'm going to put the batter onto my sheet pan lined with parchment paper. I used binder clips to hold the parchment paper in place. I'm going to use my rubber spatula to guide it into my pan and then spread it a little bit. Then I'm going to use an offset cake spatula to spread the batter into an even layer. It's easier if you turn the pan as you spread the batter so you don't have to stretch your arm around, but I wanted the camera to see the entire pan, so I left it in one spot. Now I'm going to put my cake into the oven. My oven's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. My cake took 15 minutes to bake. When it's done, if you stick a cake tester, knife, or toothpick into the center, it'll come out clean. Place it onto a cooling rack so it can cool. After the cake is fully cooled, I'm going to use a circular cookie cutter to cut it into little circles. Mine have a little design on them, but smooth will work even better. You don't see the design in the dessert, but it's the only ones I have. I used 2 different sizes so that they will fit well into my little jars. The sizes were 2 inches and 2¼ inches. I tried off camera and did find that 2¼ would fit in the bottom layer if I just pushed it in, which seemed to work out good as well. In the future, I would probably just use the 2¼ inches because it gave a little more cake, which was delicious. Now I'm going to get started on my whipped cream. Wait until the cake is completely cool before starting this step. First, I'm going to sift my powdered sugar. This is a very important step because if you don't do this, your whipped cream will be full of powdered sugar clumps. Next, I'm going to make the whipped cream. Before you do this, make sure your whipping cream is cold and you just removed it from the fridge and that your bowl and wire whisk are cold. I put mine in the freezer for 15 minutes before that because it will help the cream whip and solidify. Now, I'm going to put the cream, powdered sugar, and vanilla extract into my mixing bowl with a whisk attachment. This is important because it will not work if you use a paddle attachment instead. Then, you need to mix it until the cream is thick, solid, and makes stiff peaks. It's important not to overmix it because otherwise it'll turn into butter. As you can see, if you put some of it on your finger or on the spatula and turn it upside down, it shouldn't fall off. Next, I'm going to fill my piping bag. To do that, I'm going to first put my piping bag into a jar. This makes it easier to prepare the bag and fill it with whipped cream. I'm using my rubber spatula to push the whipped cream into the bag. After I do that, I'm going to push the whipped cream down into the point of the bag using my hands. Then I'm going to cut about 2 inches off of the point of the bag. I'm going to twirl the top of the bag and make it airtight, putting pressure on the whipped cream to press it down so we will be able to make an even swirl. Just be careful not to deflate your cream by pressing too hard. That's why I suggest cutting 2 inches off of the piping bag. Now I'm going to assemble my trifles. To do this, I'm first placing one of my smaller cake circles into my jar. Then I'm going to put a thick layer of strawberries on top of that. After that, I'm going to pipe a layer of whipped cream on top of that. Make sure to put even pressure on the piping bag so the whipped cream comes out evenly. Then I'm going to put one of the larger cake circles on top of the whipped cream and top that with a layer of strawberries like before. Then I'm going to pipe the whipped cream on top of that. I topped it with a few more strawberries, but you can top it however you'd like. If you don't eat them all right away, cover them up and store them in the fridge so they don't go bad. And my strawberry shortcake trifles are done and looking delicious. Please let me know what you thought of the video in the comments and how the recipe went for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can see when new videos are added. Thank you and enjoy!